What's up, guys? Welcome to the Other 98. I am Falyn Page, your host for today on The Players Club. I am here with two wonderful ex-Aggie players here. Why are you doing this? Crazy. Let's start off here. We have Jay, the chicken barbecue enthusiast. He also was a defensive line at Texas A&M.
I don't know where the chicken came from, but I'll take it.
And then we have the most handsome man in the entire world, Texas
A little bit
A&M.
biased.
Maybe. I mean, you're all right, but Mr. Matthew Davis himself.
What's up, guys? What's up, guys? What's up, guys? I'm back. I'm better.
Quarterbacks always get all the credit.
2019, we're getting to the cheddar.
Right. Happy New Year.
Bars.
Yes, Happy New
Bars.
Year. So today we have a couple different topics. We have the national championship and the impact that it'll have on next year's season. We also are going to take a look at A&M's offense for next season, and then some early enrollees are now on campus, and then some NFL prep for the NFL draft that's also coming up, and then some interesting coaching changes. So let's start off with the national.
Before that, let's talk about your New Year's.
Okay.
It's 2019. How was your New Year's?
Well, my New Year was pretty interesting. I went to church.
Okay.
So it was nice, brought it in with the Lord. So.
Right. What about you, young Jar?
I was hungover. That's how I brought it in. I didn't bring it in with the Lord, but I was praying for relief. So there you go.
What about you, Matu? How was your New Year?
I was at church. I hung out with my girlfriend.
Oh.
I got to, just have a good night. So it's pretty good.
Huh?
Pretty good, yeah.
That's good.
And before we start, let's go ahead and do a little player spotlight. Who's not a player? On our host today, Falyn Page. She is the journalist extraordinaire. She graduated from the very highly esteemed Episcopal High School.
You're silly.
But went to the #1 school of journalism in the world, Missouri. Is it the University of Missouri or is it Missouri University?
Missouri.
No, it's the University of Missouri, better known as Mizzou.
Hey, well,
Go Tigers.
Most people,
Columbia.
No, we are not.
most people don't know about their school, so you have to kind of just, they're kind of
In
bums.
Columbia.
Yeah, they're kind of bums.
in between, like Kansas City and
Yeah, it's
St.
in
Louis.
Columbia.
Wow, Jay seems to know quite a bit
geography.
about Mizzou.
Jay knows all the weird, stupid facts about everything.
Yeah, it's true. King of useless talents right here.
And so Falyn has worked so many big jobs. She's worked for CNN, CNBC. She lived in New York for 7 months actually, working for CNBC.
Got to journalize rat fights in the subway.
Yeah. She's covered everything from the stock market to Conor McGregor's hearing and everything like that. So she has a little bit of experience, and so we may be able to use her.
Well, thank you so much, Matthew.
Great introduction.
Great. Fabulous. So now, back to what we're really here for, the national championship game. It
Football.
was crazy. I mean, what was Alabama doing? You all tell me.
There were some very questionable play calls.
Oh my goodness, to say the least.
Yeah. I mean, the sprint out with Tua
My
on
God.
4th and 1.
That was easy. Pardon me. That was easily the worst football game, the worst called football game I've ever seen.
I've never seen Alabama outcoached like that
No.
under Saban.
They
That's-
were outcoached, and I said this still. It was in the third quarter. I looked at my friend and I said, and I still don't think Clemson is the better team. They just simply, first of all, hats off to Brent Venables. He absolutely dominated the Alabama.
Well, it helps when you have first-round draft picks across the defensive line, but
they didn't even have Dexter Lawrence. Yeah. That was the craziest thing. They were missing, questionably, their best defensive lineman.
yeah. I mean, Cleveland Farrell and Christian Wilkins are both first-round draft picks.
Amazing. And then what's my
Austin Bryant at the defensive end spot.
they're all great, but you're missing one of your key parts.
Yeah.
And 16 points to a team that's averaging close to 40 a game.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Well, and then on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, Trevor Lawrence looked like a first-round draft pick, and
that's
he's a
not the
true
same
freshman.
That's not the same kid that we saw play against Boston College
at all.
or against A&M.
Yeah.
That is a
Completely different cat
kid that we got to watch evolve
over the course of the
season into what I believe and what you believe. I'm hearing is that if he stays healthy, will be a top 5 draft pick here.
Yeah,
And
he reminds me a lot of Andrew Luck, a guy with
Yeah.
a tremendous arm talent, really able to see the field, great vision. He's a guy with deceptive speed. He's a guy who can scramble out on you, make some plays with that. And he's just it's going to be fun to watch him evolve.
and show so much grit to where he actually started getting his confidence towards the end of the game. He started running, kind of putting his head down. And, bro, that's the first time that I think we've ever seen somebody put their backups in against Alabama.
Yeah. Well, Clemson does like to play a lot of guys over the course of the games, even when. And it's kind of a double-edged sword there because you're getting guys experience early on in their careers. But at the same time, those guys, there's risks of them making mistakes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the way Brent Venables and Dabo Swinney coached that game.
Yeah. And
glorious.
then I also looked into what I wanted to say is that, and I'm going to be hard on them because I said, and I came with the hot take early in the year that I said I feel like this Alabama team was the most dominant team in college football history.
Yeah.
Until Georgia, they hadn't had a game where anybody came within 20 points. And that came from coaching, that came from execution. But those 2 picks early on, or that 1 pick early on, the pick 6 hurt. But Tua has been in a downcline or whatever.
Downward spiral?
Decline.
Decline.
Ever since the SEC championship game.
Yeah. Well, he got a little bit injured there in that game. I mean,
Yeah,
he
but-
took that ankle problem.
But my thing is not even his physical. His
We think it's
physical
his
play.
confidence.
I don't know about that. His decision making has been terrible.
Yeah.
And I think now that I only compare Tua to Tua.
Yeah.
So I'm not comparing him to all these other guys. I'm only comparing him to what we've seen from him. And I think the more that I watch it as a quarterback, that he is very, very pre-snap read oriented.
Yeah.
That he's extremely great reading knowing where he's going to go before.
Yeah, because on that pick 6, he thought they were going to be in man coverage.
And he threw it right to him.
Yep.
And you saw that it was the same thing that when he threw the second pick.
Yep.
He expected that quarter to be squatting.
Yeah.
He thought he can go over the top and end up throwing into triple coverage. So that lets me know that. And then he never got to his check down, which is also telling when it was on a swing.
Right.
He throws a check down when they have crossing routes and he have a guy sitting over the
And
ball.
that's something I think that Trevor Lawrence did a better job of.
Amazing. And so with that, when I'm watching him, I'm saying, oh, if you don't know exactly where you're going before the snap, you're not always that's what you need to work at.
Right.
That's where we see Trevor Lawrence. That's where we see Kyler Murray. That's where we see those guys, the Will Greers. Excel.
Yeah.
That, okay, one's not there. It's okay. I have 2, 3, and 4. And 2 had really struggled with that.
Yeah. Well, and obviously that's going to be a key anytime you're playing a better defense. Clemson is a really talented defensive group. And to do that against a Brent Venables coach group, it's not going to end well. And, against OU, who had plenty of defensive struggles this year, Tua was able to light them up.
Yeah.
It's a completely different squad.
And then also, I know we're talking about this a lot because I was shocked. And not only that, but defensively,
Yeah.
Bama looked bad.
Yeah.
And we don't see that. And they've got zero pressure on Trevor Lawrence all game.
Yeah.
So hats off to Clemson's offensive line. That was crazy.
Well,
I'm still in shock.
hats off to the Clemson Tigers because they also are the first college football team to go 15-0 since Penn in 1897 as well. So that's a pretty, I would think, a pretty big
fact check, girl.
stat.
Yeah.
I see you.
Did my research, you know.
Hey.
But also, again, Trevor Lawrence did have an amazing game. He was also named the most outstanding offensive player, and he is a true freshman. So speaking of, A&M will be playing Clemson and Alabama next year.
Yeah, and Georgia.
And Georgia. So what do we think that will look like? How would that impact A&M season coming up with these new players, some of their key players leaving? What do you all think?
Do you want to give them those 3 losses now, or you want to wait till next season?
I mean, I'm probably going to give them the 3 losses now. But
Okay.
here's the thing. You do get Alabama at home. I think of the games A&M's most likely to win, it's probably the Alabama game, honestly. Georgia is probably not as good as Alabama, but you're playing at Georgia, which is a tough place to play. And then you're playing at Death Valley and Clemson. So that's going to be tough. And you get Death Valley at LSU, too.
And then that's not good. And when
it's a tough schedule.
It's extremely tough. And not only that, but I think about matchups wise.
Yeah.
When I start getting into matchups, because I initially thought, if just me, before this national championship game, I thought that Oklahoma was better than Clemson, but Clemson has better matchups to play Alabama than Oklahoma did. But no.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Not the case.
Absolutely. But when I think about this, you look at Georgia, run-heavy team.
Yeah.
Jacob Fromm coming back. So when A&M has to go to Georgia next year.
And you're losing the entire defensive line except for Justin Matabuke, who's a very talented guy. But you're losing Kingsley Kiki. You're losing Dalen Mack. You're losing Landis Durham. You're losing Otaro Laka. You're losing Tyrell Dodson. You're losing basically your whole front
Donovan
seven.
Wilson.
Yeah.
You're losing all these guys that made your defense one of the best run-stopping defense in the country. And you're going to have to go against what is every year, back-to-back, one of the best rushing attacks in the country every single year. Yeah. Going to with Trevor Lawrence, knowing that, and Tua, knowing the struggles that the defense has had in the secondary.
Yep.
You're going to go against two of the best
without
passers.
your best secondary player in Donovan Wilson.
You're going to go against two of the best passing attacks in the country.
Yeah. And then Justin Ross's emergence in the national title game is one of the best receivers in the nation, probably.
Let me tell you something. I don't know. I told you, man, like one of the things that I love about Clemson is that they don't only get good players, but they develop them.
Yeah. And
we see that from time and time again that you see guys that come in there. And I think we can propose the question, is Clemson wide receiver you?
I mean, you have DeAndre Hopkins.
Sammy Watkins.
Mike Williams is a guy who looks really talented. I mean, that's a lot of talent coming out of Clemson.
Are they wide receiver you? I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to say it. I don't care. I
think you want to see it a little bit more developed. I think you're going to have to see them keep the string up. But right now, they have a good case for it.
So A&M will be losing some key players next year. Jay, I know you just did some articles recently about some of the losses that we'll have, but also some key players that will be coming and that we should look forward to. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so on the offensive side of the ball is the one I did the most recent breakdown on. Obviously, you're losing two of your biggest weapons in Travion Williams and Jay Sternberger, and then you're losing the heart and soul of that offensive line in Eric McCoy. So replacing those two guys is going to be a real struggle. I mean, Travion Williams is the single-season rushing record holder for A&M.
Yeah.
That's not something that's easy to replace. But what we do have is a guy in Jayshon Corbin who's really explosive, arguably more explosive than Travion was, but he's not as polished.
Yeah.
Travion's able to do everything. He's able to catch the ball out of the backfield. He's able to stay in and pass protect.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's great at running between the tackles. Jayshon Corbin, as a true freshman, showed flashes of ability in every aspect of the game. He had that 100-yard kickoff return against Arkansas. He's a guy that shows great burst, but he's going to have to develop it, and I don't think he's ready to be the workhorse yet.
Yeah.
The good news is you have a lot of talent on the depth chart. You have Cordarian Richardson, the transfer from UCF, a big back at 240. He's a guy that could provide a little thunder to Jayshon Corbin's lightning.
Yeah.
You have Charles Strong and Vernon Jackson, true freshmen who redshirted, both bigger backs that have a lot of that same toughness. You have a guy in Deneric Prince, who was a true freshman last year as well, that was redshirted, and he's a little bit more of that quick guy. He's a guy that can be a real threat out of the backfield. And then you have Isaiah Spiller coming out of high school, is a guy who can do it all.
Absolutely.
So there's some talent to replace Travion, but it's not going to be easy.
I think when we look at it is that, like you said, there's great talent, but it's the intangibles that, it's the things off the field that they're going to miss the most.
Right.
Absolutely. That when you look at Eric McCoy and Travion, who's built a rapport with that team, who were undoubtedly the leaders of that offense, that they were the guys that when something was going wrong, Kellen Mond's a great leader, but we know who the catalysts were of that offense, and that was Eric McCoy and Travion Williams.
Yeah.
And to lose those guys, that if you really think about it, that offensively and defensively, A&M is losing their keys. Everybody, their glue. Everybody who holds everything together, from Donovan Wilson to, like you said, to Ataro, to Tyrell, to Kingsley Kiki, to Travion, to Eric McCoy, Dalen Mack. Those guys that were the nucleus of that team has been ripped from them. Yeah. And so this is where this offseason is huge. And us as players, we know that somebody has to step up and not only say, I'm going to be the guy, show that they can be the guy.
Well, and on the offensive side of the ball, I think you're going to see that out of Kellen Mond.
Yes.
I think you're going to have to see him really step up, take his game to the next level, but also become that leader.
Absolutely.
Travion and Eric McCoy were those guys for the offense this past year. I think you're going to see Ryan McCollum step in at center. I think he's going to try to be part of that leadership role. You saw him at right guard this year, so he does have some experience, which is nice. But I think it all rides on Kellen Mond.
So which underclassmen that declared will be the biggest loss for A&M?
I think Tyrell Dawson is.
Yeah.
I think he was that playmaker on the defensive side of the ball that kind of drove everything. I think Otaro Laka may have been the vocal leader, as far as directing the defense, being the quarterback of the defense. But I think Tyrell Dodson was able to diagnose plays so well. You saw that pick 6 in the bowl game. He was a guy that I think we were counting on with the lack of linebacker depth to kind of be the captain of the defense next year. Now, I don't want to say anything bad about the kid. I think he'd make the right decision for him because if you're going to make that much money, go ahead and go get that money.
Right.
Offensively, though, I think it would probably be Eric McCoy, honestly.
Yeah.
I think we talked about the talent that you have replacing Travion. They may not be able to come in right away and make that big of an impact, but there's so much talent there that I think it's a little bit easier to replace him. With Eric McCoy, I mean, Ryan McCollum's proven himself as a decent offensive lineman, but to step in and be the center is just as valuable to the offense as the quarterback is.
Absolutely. And especially talking about a line that struggled. And to know that you're going to lose the captain of that offensive line, that's definitely a hit. I'm going to go with another answer. I agree with you on the Tyrell Dodson because, like you said, at a position that is lacking so much depth, and to have a leader, that's going to hurt. I'm going to go and say Travion simply because no matter how much you have backing him up, there's a certain players that are irreplaceable.
Right.
Yeah.
And that guy is somebody that we have seen since his first day on campus has shined a light and has balled. And he only got better. And to think as a senior, he might have went for 2,000. He might have went for 1,900.
I get where you're coming from there. I just still think that Eric McCoy, the way he capped that offensive line, and I'm a guy that's played in the trenches, so I kind of feel like the guys in there don't get appreciated enough.
Absolutely.
That's why I want to go with Eric McCoy as the guy that I think is going to be the hardest to replace on the offensive side of the ball.
I do.
But we do have to talk about the other guy on the offense that's leaving early, and that's Jay Sternberger.
I mean, what player has came in and won and done A&M in the way he did?
I mean, in football, I can't think of anybody.
He is. That's another guy that's going to be extremely hard to replace.
Yeah.
And I think we just started to see how good he actually was in a plethora of ways.
Yeah.
His route running was elite.
Yeah.
He was great after the catch.
A huge mismatch if you put a linebacker on him, you're not covering him.
Yeah, and if you put a DB on him, he's still too small. Body him. I think he's going to be very successful at the next level.
But A&M does have a guy coming in at the spring semester, a true freshman in Baylor Cupp, the number 1 tight end in this recruiting class. A guy who arguably has the potential to be better than Jace in every facet of the game. Yeah. And he's probably a more athletic guy overall. He could be a better blocker. So we'll see. I mean, obviously that's potential right now, but coming in the spring has to help him with that.
I'm also going to say, what was my man's name? Glenn Beal?
The tight end this year.
Yeah, the tight end this year. Let's not sleep on him. Yeah. I think he has all the tools to be a really good football player.
Yeah, because he didn't play that much with Trevor Wood and Jay Sternberger because Trevor Wood's gone too now.
Yep.
But I think you could see them kind of both step in. I think you'll see Baylor Cupp be more of the receiving tight end like Jay Sternberger. I think you'll see Glenn Beal step into that role as more of a blocker than Trevor Wood was.
Yeah.
But I think he may give you more options in the pass catching game as well.
Yeah.
If you can get some 2 tight end sets, create some mismatches, that could be fun to watch.
I do want to propose a question right quick, and I know this is not on the script, but what is the difference between Jimbo's first year and Coach Sumlin's?
I don't have one right now. I don't.
Well, what I'm saying is that how it's being received.
Yeah.
Because if you ask Aggie fans all around, Jimbo's a god.
And someone was a god after that first season too.
And that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So what is it? Because I understand that they just grasp that we want to grasp on something to have hope.
Yeah. Right.
But the same coach that they trashed and that people are betting on and hoping that he loses.
Yeah. The old adage about fans living in extremes.
Right.
I one day we're gonna talk about that. Yeah. I really want to discuss that one day.
I think that would be interesting, especially from a player's perspective. And I have always been a fan. Obviously, I'm not on the football field, but to see that extremes, like the way you all look at it, and then the way I look at it.
What position would you play if you did play?
Oh, quarterback, of course.
I think you flirting with me, man.
I think I'd be a running back or a fullback if I played football.
Yeah, if I play.
So you mentioned Baylor Cup coming in a semester early. So the Aggies actually have about 8 players that are coming in early in the spring semester. Matthew, you actually were someone who left high school early, came into A&M the spring semester. Can you talk about that experience, having that 5 extra months on campus, practicing with the team?
Strength and conditioning.
Yeah, it's it was for my career, it was probably the second best thing I ever did aside the redshirting. And that process is such a great thing because you get to ease into school. You get to see how things are in the midst. You get thrown into the fire. You get to work out with the team. You get to build camaraderie. And especially for players who want to play early, to be able to build that camaraderie with your team early on is huge, especially from a quarterback standpoint. But getting into seeing how do you practice? Because the little nuances of playing college football that you don't think about when you're in high school, that they practice way different. And not only just like, because people are better, but the way that you practice as in like not tackling all the way to the ground, making sure you go full speed, catching a pass and going all the way to the, exploding after 10 yards or after 20 yards, the things that you don't really do in high school, to see those things, to get adjusted to college life. So mentally, emotionally, to be able to get in there, because when you come in and it's just summertime and then you don't get your real padded experience until 2-a-days, and then 3 weeks after that, you're expected to go play for another game. It's really hard, and not many. I know a lot of people, Jay, you got thrown into the fire, but not many players are ready to play as true freshmen.
Yeah.
They're not, and sometimes they have to play out of need.
Yeah,
that's
how I thought I was.
But I knew me. I wasn't ready to play as a true freshman. I wasn't mentally ready. I wasn't physically ready. I was athletically capable, but I didn't have the tools, and I wasn't honed and crafted enough to go out there and produce at a level that I would have wanted to or needed to be.
So you do think that players coming in early, that they are mentally, that 5 months helps you to mentally get prepared for college?
Absolutely, 1,000%.
Okay.
Well, and I see that. The one thing I would tell kids, though, is you also got to be careful to not burn yourself out.
Right.
That's
I mean,
true.
if you come in early, you got to think in high school, some of these guys are dual sport athletes. A lot of these guys are leaving early and not finishing the other sports they may have played.
Yeah, I ran track.
I wrestled in high school. So I wanted to make sure and finish off my last season there. It was part of the decision that I made to not go in early. And I ended up playing my first game more out of necessity. I definitely wasn't probably physically prepared, but it's a mentally taxing thing to come in there, play college football.
Yeah.
And if you get a head start on it, that just means you're going to be mentally taxed earlier.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I think it's one of those things where it's just it's a give and give.
Yeah. And it's a situation where it depends on the kid.
Yeah, and like you said, because make no mistakes, you definitely lose. Like in every situation, I think that's what I learned in football. In every decision that we make, you're losing something.
Yeah. It's give and take.
Yeah, and when I left college football, when I left high school, I left my childhood.
Yeah. Right.
I was no longer a kid. You get thrusted into the business and how this is serious. We're not playing for blanks and giggles anymore. Like this is for real. And so when you come here, we get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's serious. It's a real business now.
Yeah, it's a grind for sure.
Yeah.
But talking about making the decision on whether or not to come in or not, with a guy like Baylor Cupp who's coming in and may have to play right away out of need, it's a great decision for a kid like him. A guy like DeMarvin Leal, who is just talented enough that he might have a chance to play anyway.
Just wakes up and he's better than 90% of people in the world.
Giving him a chance to go into the strength and conditioning program, you can make him a huge difference over that 5 months.
Yeah, and those 5 months can end up making him a lot of money.
Yeah. And then for quarterbacks, I believe just getting in early to learn the system, because nobody probably is as system heavy and knowing the plays as the quarterback is.
Yeah.
He's got to know what every guy out there is doing. So a guy like Zach Calzada coming in, trying to learn the system right away, will help him adapt to the college game a lot quicker.
I think that to close this off, I think that graduating early benefits nobody more than the quarterbacks and linemen.
Yeah.
Because no matter what anybody, like you said, they get overlooked a lot, but there is no harder transition for any player than from high school lineman to go to college. Period. Offensively and defensively.
For the quarterbacks, it's more of a mental thing, I think, going in. For the offensive and defensive linemen, I think it's getting in there and getting in the weight room is the big help there.
And that's why. Because realizing that you're 18 and you have there's a such, if y'all don't know, there's a such thing as grown man strength. And these 22 and 23-year-old linemen are way different than these 18-year-old folks.
Yep.
Right.
And occasionally you got a freak like Dylan Mack who's squatting 610 times in high school, but that's different.
Speaking of preparation then, so the NFL draft will be coming up soon. So obviously there are some players that are now getting prepped. He's silly. Now getting prepped and things like that for the NFL draft. So what does that look like for players now going from, so we talked about going from high school to college, but now these players that are transitioning going from college to professional, like does that same preparation look the same?
I'm going to defer to Matt on this one because he has a little more experience with it than I do. But.
Yeah. That is the same way of like we talked about graduating early. You are completely throwing that away to getting to the real business.
Right.
And so the structure of that is, so for these guys that declared early, all of them will be combine guys. So they'll probably have, I'll say Aggies will probably have about 8 guys in the combine. And so what's going to go is that they have signed with their agents and they're going to their respective training spots. So for your more high-profile guys, you'll probably have those guys. They'll probably be in Miami, in California, Arizona, and somewhere like that, or somewhere in that Florida region. And they're going to get right into the training. In the beginning training for most of y'all, that the knock on combine training is exactly what it is. Like, we hate it simply because we're not lifting weights. We're not doing football drills. You are training specifically for the combine. Yeah. You'll probably lift a weight once or twice.
I think quarterbacks would be the exception there, really.
Because you have to throw.
Yeah.
So you'll be throwing and stuff like that. But, I mean, even when we combine trained, we threw once a week.
Yeah.
On Wednesdays. Every other day, you're working on 40s, you're working on your 5-10-5s. Receivers are working on their gauntlet drills. They're doing all these things that it gets to the point to where I remember Braylon stayed the night at my house before he left.
Braylon Addison?
Yeah, Braylon Addison. He stayed in my apartment when I lived in Dallas the night before he left to go to the combine.
Right.
And it's funny because when he comes here, I'm going to tell the story how he almost missed his flight because he overslept.
Crazy. So, get up.
But the thing is, I went and I was like, bro, wake up. He's like, my bad, my flight's in a couple hours.
Well, that's one thing that I would think would be kind of harder is you don't necessarily have your teammates in the weight room pushing you.
Right.
You don't have the coach that are kind of riding you.
Yeah.
You have to do it on your own. You have to find your own motivation to do that.
Absolutely. And if that check isn't enough, then you don't need to be out there.
Yeah.
But he told me, he got to the point, he's like, man, like, I'm tired of this, bro. I just want to play football.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're doing the entire time is you're working, because there is a science. There are people who pay millions of dollars to research the best form for running a 40, the best form for doing all these drills. And so that's what you're doing. And then after that is when you kind of get into the more football-oriented stuff. Yeah. You're back training. You're back going hard. For a lot of guys that excel at the combine, they're not into the testing anymore. They're getting ready to do their on-the-field drills for pro day.
So when you go work out for a team, what do they have you do in that kind of situation? Okay. I know you've talked about going to work out for teams before.
Depending on how you've tested. So for guys that will go to the combine and test well, they'll be done with their testing. So for a quarterback, say I went to Dallas, right? And they'll be like, hey, okay, well, they'll have receivers for you, and you'll go out there and you'll throw. And they're kind of putting you through their own personal workout. They'll bring you in the classroom. You'll get to sit down with the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach. Maybe the head coach will be in there observing. Sometimes you have owners coming there. If they're going to be spending a high dollar on you, then they want to make sure that my investment is going to a good purpose. And so because of that, they'll have you on the board. Hey, what's this? Drop south left clamp, 2-jet lick, X-spear comeback.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
Slow down. Watch your mouth, because I know you feel like you cussed at me.
Right.
But, so that's what you'll be going through. If you didn't, sometimes they'll go out there and they'll want you to test again, maybe run. Because the thing is, at the combine, they want to strain you as much as possible.
Yeah.
They have you in meetings all day till 12 o'clock at night, and they make you wake up at 5.
Yeah.
And some of these guys, like we watch, you see they're running 40s at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And they were just in meetings till 11 o'clock last night.
It's kind of going back to like military, just trying to be mentally taxing. They want to wear on you to see how you're going to handle the grind whenever you get to the league.
Absolutely. And so that's kind of what that is. So when you go on these, and then also when teams will come to you and work you out. Yeah. At our facility that we train at, the Patriots came and worked out one of our guys, and he was in there doing his defensive line drills in the corner of our facility. So it's a really, really stressful process. I'm not going to lie to you about that. It's very, very stressful that you see guys that are some of the most calm, cool, and collected are panicking.
Yeah.
Simply because
But teams want to see that. They want to see how you handle that,
Right.
dealing with situations that can
Yeah.
give you anxiety.
Absolutely.
They want to see how you're going to mentally take that.
Right.
And you got to think about it. Like for a lot of these guys, I mean, myself included, that you're almost bred for this moment.
Yeah.
And to think that your whole life, everything that you work for is depending on your 40
It's
or
the
how
most,
do I throw.
It's the most intense job interview you can imagine, huh?
Oh my goodness! I mean, she saw me the night before my pro day. I
Oh
was
my gosh.
so nervous.
He
Yeah.
was. But you did great though.
Turkey. All right, fair enough.
So it sounds like high school to college is one type of stress, but going from college to the professional world,
Yeah.
that's an even more intense.
Yeah,
Would you
and,
both
and, and it's a
think?
lot better for those guys who know that they've solidified themselves. There's other guys that have to prove themselves more.
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of these guys in the draft, they're, especially for the Aggies, they're proven. And so I just need to go out there and just I have to just make sure you know that I am who I am versus having to prove to you that
Right.
I'm somebody.
Who I am, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys, they've already seen the tape on them. It's
Yeah.
this is more of a gut check type of thing. You know what these guys are capable of on the field. Now you just want to see if they're a cultural fit for your locker room. I think is a lot of it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So staying, I guess, on the topic of the NFL, we have some intense coaching changes that are coming. There's been a lot of different head coach changes and stuff, but the one in particular that I want to focus on today is Kliff Kingsbury.
My man, young Kliff. Hey, bring me to Arizona, man. I'm trying to come hang out with you, man. I miss my boy.
Crazy.
No, but Coach Kingsbury, I mean, I didn't get the chance to play under
Yeah.
him, but he was recruiting whenever I was there.
My dog.
Has to be one of the most brilliant offensive minds I've ever seen.
And one of the coolest coaches that you'll ever sit in a meeting with.
Yeah. He seems like it. Just kind of a cool cat.
I'm telling you.
I've heard that, though. I've heard that he's
That was
an
my
awesome man.
No,
That was my
I think he
man.
might actually be better suited for the NFL than he was for college football.
1,000%.
I think he's a big X's and O's guy. I don't think he particularly likes the recruiting, the management side of things. Now he'll have a GM to get players for him.
Yes.
He'll have a defensive coordinator that has guys to work with. He won't have to go out and recruit defensive players to his system.
And not only that, Kliff is a dude who's just gonna be a dude. Like he's just like, and it's a better suited culture
Yeah.
that he's grown. He's gonna be around grown people.
Right.
Hey man, he's very very direct. Just keeps it how it is.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes, which is needed for college kids, you have to kind of tailor your words a little bit and tailor
Right.
how you handle things. And it's not. I'm not saying that he curses or swears. Like it's not even that. It's just his disposition is very just direct and forward, and sometimes it's kind of like I don't want to deal with the nonsense. Like let's keep business, and like when we talk about personal, let's be personal. But when we're inside the confines of this locker room, like let's do it.
It's a completely different relationship from a professional coach to a college coach.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think I think that's gonna be really really good. I think he's gonna bring fun to Arizona.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what he does with Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anybody can develop a quarterback, it's Kliff.
Man, I mean, come on. And to this day, he's one of my. I enjoyed playing for him. One of the most out of a lot of coaches. I've been blessed to see a lot, but man, he was fun.
Yeah.
So shout out to Kliff, of course, for the new position.
Wait, is he gonna be wearing a V-neck on the sidelines?
He's
I don't
got to
know.
be, right?
He-
He's got to keep with he'd probably have like a black long sleeve shirt, just real tight
I need
fitting.
it. Listen, Coach, if you're watching this, first of all, bring me to the game.
First of all, thank you for watching.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. No, bring me to the game. And then, and then second of all, wear the V-neck and with the Oakleys. I'm telling you, he was fly.
Yeah, who was it that asked him how much the
Oh,
shirt
Clay.
was?
Clay was
Clay
like,
Honeycutt?
Yeah, Clay was like, "Hey, Coach, and we get that V-neck from?" He's like,
Don't worry about it.
He's
Can't
like-
afford it.
"Don't worry about it. You can't afford it anyway."
Whoa, I don't know how it would feel if a coach told me I couldn't afford something.
I mean, as a college
As a
kid,
college
you probably
kid, you
already
probably
know.
can't.
Coach used to be like, "Gator's a baller."
Lamascus?
Yeah, yes, Gaston.
Dude.
Hey, shout out
That's
to
my guy.
Shout out to Gator, man.
So he was working with Texas Tech, and then he went to USC for a month. Didn't even get to call a play before now he's in the NFL.
December 18 to January 19.
Wow,
That's it.
fabulous.
Oh, you think he got paid during the time?
He had to get some kind of
He has to
sign-up
get something, yeah.
At least a relocation
Let's go.
check.
Let's see what Coach.
Secure the bag.
Yeah, secure the bag and get out of there, man.
Wait, as players, I want to know how you all feel though, having a coach come in, right? And you are thinking, oh, wow, I'm finna play for Kliff. I'm finna get to be with this guy, learning from this guy. But then he leaves. And how does that feel as a player, getting these coaching changes? And I want to pose a question. Should players be able to leave if the coach that they came in that recruited them leaves, as Kliff has left?
I'll let Matt take it.
I think Jay's and I's answer is going to be exactly identical. At least that's what I believe. 1,000% players should be able to leave.
I agree.
This new signing thing that they've done is trash. I get it that they can, but really what it is this new signing day. They forced, and I don't want to get into this because you know how I am with conspiracies and stuff like that. But they force kids to make it think that this signing day is about them, and it's not. It's not about them whatsoever. They make it seem like, oh, hey, you're going to be able to get this out of the way. I know people bothering you. No. This is a tactic for colleges and college coaches to be able to manipulate them kids into signing their life away early, to where the quicker we can get you, you can't go nowhere anymore. And for situations like this, it ends up backfiring because coaches have the freedom to do whatever they want to do whenever they want to do it, and they leave. And that's great. Do what's best for you. Right. But give me the opportunity to do what's best for me. And I think all those kids that sign their life away, and I say that because that's exactly what you're doing. Yeah. You signing your life to this school. And so because of that, they should be able to leave. But as far as coaches doing that, like I said, I'm a firm believer in every person at the end of the day, they have to do what's best for them and their family. And who am I, especially knowing I love Kliff, who am I to say that you're not supposed to leave USC to go to the Cardinals? No, I'll help you pack. Yeah. I fold all your V-necks. You know what I'm saying? Like go. But it's just, I feel like those kids, they should be able to go. It's unfair. Yeah. It's unfair because no matter what we say this time and time again, kids do not commit to schools. They commit to coaches.
Right. Jay, what do you think?
I mean, I agree with you 100%. But when they sign the LOI, they're not signing it to Kliff Kingsbury. They're signing it to USC.
Yeah.
Look, you got to do your research on that school. You got to do a research on the coach. You got to find out if he might leave. If you're not doing the due diligence on that, if you're just making an emotional decision, that's what's going to happen. You're going to get stuck there.
But what happens because no coach is telling you I'm going to leave, and every coach and so at that point in time,
well, that's why I'm saying you sign the LOI to the school. You're not signing it to the coach.
But how much time what are you doing with the school? We all know that nobody's going to the school, not athletes. Like, you went to Mizzou because of the journalism school. Right. Every kid, 99, I'm going to say every kid because I don't blanket names. 99% of these kids that say, I went to this school because they have a great program, they're lying. It sounded good and their mom said it. They don't mean that. They want to go to the school and play football.
Well, maybe it's time to start thinking about it, though. I mean, if you're going to go to college football, you may not be able to make the league. You got to look at a school and see what you want to do after. Right. That's why you're committing to the school and not the coaches.
I do completely agree with that I think that athletes should not just be like, oh, I'm coming to school to play football, because like we said, not everyone is going to make it to the NFL. So they need to look at the school and not just the coach.
They should, but majority of these D1 schools, they're not they're not bummy in academics. Like they're good but the thing is, like, they're going to school and they're getting their education paid for to play football. I get it. We are student athletes, 1,000%. And we're students and we go to class and we should get a degree, and education should come first. But we all know that you're not getting paid to go to school. You're getting paid to play football. And don't let anybody, let me make it seem like I don't care about school. I'm not saying that. I am all for academics. And so,
was it Cardell Jones?
Yeah.
But we ain't come here to play school.
Yeah, we didn't. It's serious. Yeah. So you came here to play football. So I'm not saying that they shouldn't take into account what the school is. They should. Yeah. But priority in what you're doing is that if I want to just go to school, then yeah, I'll just look at the school. Who cares about the coaches?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I just had to kind of play devil's advocate there. You know, I still feel the same way, but, you know, you just got to look at it from the other side. You got to see what the schools are thinking, what fans are thinking, what other players may be thinking. I mean, if you get with a guy.
I don't care. You want to be honest with you? I don't care what the schools or the fans think about any of that, because they're not the one who has to live through that. Yeah. Because these kids that go in there, they want to piss and complain about all this type of stuff about when these kids want to leave, but these kids are literally making one decision and signing their name on one line at 18 years old.
That's going to affect them for the rest of their life.
And I know how stupid I was at 18. I know how stupid I was yesterday. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that
learn something new every day.
And so what I'm saying is that to know that I'm going to make that decision, and then you have to sit there, man, like, think about the kids, like, think about Mike and Johnny's class. Yeah. They came in there, signed to Coach Sherman, and he gets fired after the first year.
Yep.
Right.
I went to SMU for Coach Jones. Coach Jones got fired after the second game.
Yeah.
I was just blessed that, you know what I'm saying, Chad came in there.
Yeah.
But what happens if it didn't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens if you had like Paul Johnson coming in from Georgia Tech?
Yeah, we
all of a
ran
sudden
the
you're a triple option quarterback.
I could have ran that. I might have could have ran
I
that.
think I would have been a good triple option quarterback.
Yeah,
I know I would have.
But yeah, so I don't know, and I say that with complete what would it
Sincerity.
be? No, yeah, but I'm not sincere. I don't care what the fans are. It is. I don't want to get into that, but it is a complete. It's just like it's a scam, man. Like the colleges, they get over on these kids every year.
Yeah.
And they've been doing it for the longest.
Yep.
You work for us, we're not gonna pay you. It doesn't matter. You go to school and we can control everything you do.
Yep.
You know.
Because they control the majors
control
that you choose. Like
Oh,
you can't,
yeah.
you couldn't choose a
Well,
major
like,
for
it
real
was, I
that
think
you
it was
really
Central
wanted.
Florida had a kicker
Yeah.
that's making videos on YouTube. NCAA says no. You can't make any
make
money
them.
off that.
Because his YouTube channel blew up.
Yeah.
And people was following him and subscribing.
And
they
he can
said,
monetize that YouTube channel. He's gonna make tons of money.
Yeah.
and they said you can either do that or you can either do that and we'll kick you out of the team, kick you out of the NCAA, or you can quit that and come here. He
But
said,
how do they control that?
that's the thing is that people don't understand. Like they control everything
Everything.
you do.
Right.
I mean, it's just like it's a tough situation because these colleges are taking advantage of kids.
Yeah.
It's a completely predatory in nature. And you look at
Scam.
like recruiting, like you're getting these huge games. They're trying to profit off kid. What if a kid gets injured in one of those Under Armour All-American games? All of a sudden, he hadn't committed yet. Coaches don't let him sign.
I'm telling you, and they have manipulated us into making it seem like all this stuff is for us, and it's not.
Yeah.
Like and don't get me wrong. I'm not saying because I don't ever want to come off as ungrateful because
It's provided us opportunities
and
to be here.
Yes, and I'm extremely grateful, and God has blessed me to where that I have been able to go to like different events and all sorts of things from high school to like college. I'm with that, but the thing is that they make it seem like it's about you, and you're walking away. They're walking away with millions, and you're walking away with a memory.
Yeah.
Or a degree.
But
No, I was talking about
that
events. I was talking about events.
Okay.
okay, but that degree,
Yeah.
that's not a guarantee of anything.
No.
Yeah,
how
very true.
many people here got degrees that don't have a job?
Very
Yeah.
true. Very true.
Especially in this environment today,
Come on.
everybody's getting degrees.
Yeah.
And everybody's getting degrees, and not only that, but you're going to for all these kids that want to go to the school for what they want to go to school for, and then they can't even get a job in the field that they got their degree in.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, but the thing is not only that, but these people that are sitting in high places making rules for sports that they could never play themselves, and making rules for people that they could never be, and then they do that, and they want to control you, and say, no, you can't do this, but make sure that I get my money. And think about how much money was paid in the national championship game. Think about how much money that game made.
All the sponsorship, the halftime
Just
show.
off
Think about-
halftime show alone.
Think about how much money was made in there.
Millions.
Tens of millions.
Yeah.
Probably
Dabo's-
hundreds of millions.
Yeah, hundreds. If Dabo Swinney won the game, and let me say, shout out to Dabo Swinney because that's the only other coach that I wish I could play. That I wish I could play for. I love Dabo. He got a bonus after winning that game. I don't know what it was, but he got a bonus. Nick Saban got a bonus for making it. Those kids,
$500,000 is probably the minimum.
Yeah.
For that bonus.
those kids, they got bowl gifts. That's it. And there's a limit onto what you can get there. And so and I know fans are always like, oh, they should be grateful. We are. But the thing is that when you know that somebody else is just profiting off of your work
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you get nothing,
Yeah.
and it's never in return, like, what happens if they get these kids, like they get hurt?
Yeah.
And it happens all the time. Like,
And we don't have like a union like some other jobs may have where
Mackenzie
you can
Milton.
protect it. Yeah. May never play again.
he may never play again. And he was part of bringing that UCF team to what they are.
Yeah.
And it's like, he may never play again.
But even with that, do you wish that you could play in an NCAA game?
Like the video game?
The video game, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because we talked about how the EA Sports was willing to pay players. They didn't care.
Absolutely.
It's the NCAA that says, no, we're not going to let you use the likeness if they have to play players. You're telling me that they couldn't set it aside and wait till the game, like until you stopped playing. You're telling me that you can't set funds aside until the end?
They definitely can do that.
And you know why they're doing that.
Yeah.
They know that the moment that they let that happen, it's going to backfire to them. And they're going to say, okay, well, why aren't you playing us?
Yeah.
Because eventually y'all going to have to pay us.
Yeah.
And they don't want to.
No.
So any other streamer, YouTube, no. We can't let YouTube because they're going to be using their likeness. Oh, we can't let them get paid or social media. We can't do that because eventually the real people that's making the money is going to get exposed.
And then the floodgates are going to open.
Yeah, and they can't do that. And that's what I'm saying. It's just, man, it really just bothers me because at 18 you don't think of that.
Yeah. No, but it's a tight balance though, because if you let all the money come into college football, what's going to happen then? You know what I mean?
I'm with you.
You're playing at Texas A&M, sponsored by Kroger.
I know.
Like,
and that's
but the
why.
thing is, they're already sponsored. I mean, you got places.
Come on, man.
Kentucky's or Louisville Stadium was Papa John's Stadium until all that shit happened.
It wouldn't be an episode if Jay didn't do it. Yes.
I had to drop one in. But like you look at like Louisville Stadium, like they're Papa John's Stadium until everything happened, the fallout with the CEO. I think like for the longest time, Boise State Stadium was sponsored by Albertsons. Like
Man.
you have these sponsors because donors are paying to put their name on stadiums. They may not have their business out there, but it's still their name, and people know who they are.
Yeah.
So if you don't think that's a form of advertising,
Like I said, man, it's just these are things that at 18 and 19 years old we didn't think about that. But being older now and now looking back and being more wise in the situation and understand like, man, like y'all are stealing.
Yeah.
And that's why there has to be people there's people out here that's way smarter than me, way more structured than me that can find a solution. But the thing is that it is
it's not going to be easy.
It is unethical.
Yeah.
And it's wrong, flat out wrong for these kids. Forget us. If we never get anything, that's fine. But the way that these 7-on-7 teams and these kids are being turned into professionals at 14 years old.
Yeah.
And I've gone on visits.
Or AAU ball.
AAU. And they're working and they're not even getting childhoods because they're trying to make sure, because if you don't start training at 14 now, you're nothing now.
Yeah.
And so
at that age, it's not that you don't know what's going on. It's that you don't even know what you don't know.
Right.
Robin,
You don't even know what to look at.
Right. You just playing football.
And they're getting robbed of their innocence because they have to go out here and I have to start training. Like when we were training for the combine or for my pro day, there were 12-year-olds in there that were trying to work out with us.
Yeah.
Doing this, I got to get ready. Because by then, in 10 years, I'll have all my form down.
Yeah.
I'll have this and this and this. And that's why we talk about, man.
But your body changes so much that the form is going to be completely different by the time you get there. And changes happen in the game that evolve. If you get strict in one thing, I mean, we're going on and on. We can go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And it's actually starting to really, really make me mad because I know like there's so many kids out here that are giving their heart and soul and they're being robbed. And I know we're only talking about monetarily because that's a huge thing. All these, every viewer.
It's not even just monetarily. Look at the situations like Maryland. You're taking away a lot more than just money from these kids.
Yeah.
I mean, in some cases, it's life or death.
Yeah.
If you go out there on the field, coming down on a kickoff, you hit somebody the wrong way, paralyzed from the neck down.
Man, and I have a friend who he got medically disqualified because he had like 8 concussions. They told him after his junior year, hey, listen, you can't come back and play here. He's like, well. He's a starting running back. Well, what am I going to do? And he said, well, till he declared for the draft early. And then went in there, and then they wouldn't draft him. He went to the combine and said, we can't take you because of what it is. Yeah. And now he still suffers from migraines, has mood swings because of that. And for what?
Especially positions like running back on the offensive line and defensive line.
For $850 a month?
When you're...
Man, that's going to make me curse. For $850 a month, I'm doing that?
Yeah.
I'm risking my life, and I'm giving everything for $850 a month.
Yeah.
Take this headset off. Man, that because it's wrong, man. They robbing these kids.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Well, that's all that we have for today on the Other 98, the Players Club. Thank you so much, Jay.
We'll close on a little happy note. What we got on New Year's resolutions? What you got, Matt?
Find a way for them to pay these split. No. I don't know. What do you have?
Oh, okay. A goal of mine is to get back working out.
Yeah.
So I know for you all are players and stuff. You're used to working out all the time.
Yeah,
and
but
stuff.
I mean, I got out of it myself. I'm also trying to get back into working out.
Right. So
you know?
that's a goal of mine to make sure I get my body and my mental and everything back in order.
I think I'm gonna start working out as well, guys.
I think that would be
I
good
want
for
to.
you.
I want to start actually cooking instead of like going to like.
Hey.
Yeah, I want to
Barbecue?
Chef Curry with the pot. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of everything. A little bit of everything.
Hey.
Not just barbecue. I think one day I do want to open up my own barbecue spot. But
Really?
That's going to be a little bit down the road.
What would it be called? Jars?
I don't know yet. Barbecue.
Barbecue.
Hey, we might just thought
Hey,
about
we
something.
might have to go a little. Ooh, we might have just had something up already.
Barbecue. Okay.
Barbecue.
Okay.
Hey, will you have a meal called, or will you have a drink called the Rush?
Probably.
It'll be
It's a michelada.
A michelada with in the whole cup is
It's
like
like all salt.
it's all
the
salt.
cup's actually
It's-
made out of
the
salt.
The cup's made out of
So
salt.
like you have to drink it really fast so it doesn't dissolve.
Or free? Can you freeze salt?
I don't think so.
I didn't-
That's what
Maybe you
put-
can.
I didn't go
Well,
to
you
science
can
class.
you can freeze salt water, I guess, because it's icebergs, whatever. We'll get into science eventually.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Get a little bit of everything on that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with that.
Alrighty. Well, that's all that we have for today for the Other 98 Players Club. I'm Falyn Page.
Well,
That's Matt Davis. I'm Jay Arnold. Thank you all for joining us.
thank y'all.